Big red letters. You good? Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this regular meeting Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 at about 10 a.m. to order. Our invocation today will be given by Supervisor Steve Christensen. And Matt, good to see you. Do you mind giving us, leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow with me, please. We are so thankful, gracious Father, that you have provided the lives that we all live in the great nation and this great county where we live. We thank you for the moisture we've received, and we thank you for the nice weather that we're enjoying. We do pray, Father, that you would guide us, give us wisdom, give us the abilities to watch over the county and help the people that live here and throughout the county. We pray, Father, that you would give us the means to make good decisions, the wisdom to do so. We pray, Father, for all of those that are suffering right now with various issues, problems, financial issues, health problems, and that you would heal them and get them some relief that way. And we pray, Father, that as we continue with our meeting today, that we would always glorify you and that we would consider you in all of our judgments. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We have quite a few people here today. I'm sure that some of them are here for item D, 2D, and there's paperwork if you care to address the board on a particular agenda item. There's also paperwork if you care just to address the board in general. And so I wanted to give you that information before we start. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and start with our regular agenda item 2A. Information, discussion, action to approve an inmate housing agreement with Graham County whereby Graham County will assist Gila County Adult Detention Facility by providing housing within its detention facility for adult defendants for the performance period of January 1st, 2022 through January 1st, 2025. Matthew Benning, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So our detention facility we had had critically low staffing for some time, which has brought us to, requesting assistance from some of the other counties with housing our inmates. They've worked really hard to get this agreement, many have, and so I appreciate those that have put in the time to get this to go forward. But Graham County will assist the Gila County Adult Detention Facility by providing housing within its detention facility for adult defendants who are in any of the following situations: awaiting on pretrial status or awaiting to serve jail sentence or serving sentences as determined by the court. Graham County will provide programs and services to those inmates that are classified to receive programming, care, academic education as outlined by Graham County's facilities, policies, and procedures. Graham County will also provide access to standard medical care. The fee for this is $75 per inmate, and the performance period is from January 1, 2022 through January 1, 2025, which we are looking at housing at this point in time 40 inmates.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Supervisor Christensen, questions,
Thank you,
comments?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Binney. And is this a continuation of something we're already doing with them, or is it a new one?
Negative. This is a new one. I mean, we have a general, what's the term for this? Is Major Newman, where they will temporarily house inmates for us on like a case-by-case basis, but nothing, courtesy holds, but nothing like a large-scale housing of inmates like this agreement. is for.
Okay, all right, thanks, that's all.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt, what's our, I look at that figure of $75 per day, but what does it cost us in Gila County to house these folks?
So, are we talking housing for all of our inmates?
Per inmate, what's the cost we spend per day here?
We currently charge,
Yeah, let him have some of the mic because it's recorded. We need,
Dennis Newman, jail commander. Yeah, currently, what we bill to the town of Payson and others who house with us is $75 a day. I'm sorry, it will be here shortly. Currently, it's $68.49 right now. We're obviously going to have to bump that up for, to be consistent with a lot of other people around the state. Other counties charge more. We're going with Graham, one for their proximity and the dollar amount that they're willing to work with us on, we feel is reasonable. So the $75 kind of falls in line with our needs and what we're wanting to do. Other counties are a lot higher.
Well, that's what I was thinking, just looking at that $75. I just thought it would be higher than that, so I figured we're getting a decent deal on this, so.
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks, Matt.
So just if I could add one thing, just because you brought that up. Although they do provide the standard care, if there's any antibiotics or anything that are ordered or any kind of procedures that would require anything outside the jail, those would be additional costs on top of this.
Okay. So, okay, I got it. Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
yeah, that was a question that I had also too, is the medical, because 40 people, I'm sure there's going to be medical involved and also transportation, because they're probably going to have to be transported back here for courts and things of that nature.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Those are some of the things that we've thought about as far as the transportation and the folks that we're going to be sending. That number of 40 are going to be those that we've gone through their files and tried to minimize the amount of medical issues that they would be having and hopefully amount of time that we would be transporting. Still knowing that we do the Zoom with the court and Graham County's jail facility is set up to do that. They do it, I won't say exclusively, but they're in a good position to do it. So we shouldn't have to transport everybody. And again, the people we're going to send over are going to be those that will lessen the impact on us for the transports and the medical.
Okay. And again, this is due partially to staffing.
To a large degree, yes, staffing. We're going to try to do things in a way that minimizes the impact of the county. I mean, these guys have been working really hard on a daily basis trying to make adjustments to schedules if you're familiar, we had to close the Payson jail for about 6 weeks while we tried to address the issues. But like I said, his staff is working on a daily basis trying to minimize impacts to the county.
Okay, and the 40, is that kind of their maximum that we can use them? Or,
Yeah, correct. They can take 40.
so they say
up to
give us
40 of our
40
inmates.
and no more?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Then I have no further questions. Supervisor Klein, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Matt, let's just say that we're able to somewhat correct our staffing issues and kind of roll back online where we were. Are we going to bring those folks back, or are we going to continue just to work with Graham County on some numbers?
It would be our intention to bring them back.
Okay.
Rather than, logistically, it's going to cause, quite a bit of added stressors to be transporting everybody back and forth. We'd much rather do it ourselves, I believe. Is that a safe assumption to say? Yeah. We'd rather do it that way if possible, but just given our staffing, we can't right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll call for motion.
Yes, sir. Chairman Humphrey, I will make the motion to approve an inmate housing agreement with Graham County for the performance period stated, which is January 1st, 2022 through January 1st, 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, item was approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
You get the next one. Okay, regular agenda item 2B, information discussion action to approve professional services contract number 010522 to retain the services of Hayes Enterprise in the not-to-exceed amount of $120,000 for the period of January 8th, 2022 through January 7th, 2023, with an option to renew the contract for 3 one-year periods to provide medical services to the Gila County Sheriff's Office jail facility. Okay. Matthew, go ahead.
So this is a renewal agreement with Dr. Hayes, with Hayes Enterprises. He does provide our medical director services for the jail. He provides medical services on an as-needed basis. Typically, I mean, any phone calls go to him. He's able to hear patients via the nurses over the phone, as well as he sets up clinics on a weekly basis, typically to come in and see patients if needed. So the professional service contract number 010522, it is for the amount not to exceed $120,000, and it is for that period between January 8th, 2022 to January 7th, 2023. Any
Okay.
questions?
Supervisor Christensen, questions, comments?
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions.
Supervisor Klein,
Neither do I. Thanks, Matt.
is he aware that this contract, that some of his clients' tail may go down if we start transporting people?
Yeah, correct. I don't think that changes the amount, though.
Okay, yeah, no, but that's not to an exceed, but is he aware that he may
Yes.
be losing some
Yes,
patients?
he's aware, sir.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve professional services contract number 010522.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, item was approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, information, discussion, action to authorize the Sheriff's Office electronic submission of a FY 2023 Drug, Gang, and Violent Crime Control Grant application in the amount of $719,390.15 submitted to the Arizona Crime Justice Commission to renew grant funding that will be used for the salaries and benefits of the Gila County Sheriff's Office Drug, Gang, and Violent Crime Task Force. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll be filling in for Commander Baxley.
Okay?
This is a renewal application through the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, ACJC. It is for the Gila County Gang and Violent Crime Task Force. The application, if approved, will be submitted on March 4th, and it will cover fiscal year 2023. It does cover the salaries and employment-related expenses for those assigned to the task force from a period from July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. There is a 25% match by the county for whatever determined amount that we get back from ACJC, which is typically not as much as we ask for.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. So the match money would be 25% of the 719?
If they were to give us that amount, which typically we don't get anywhere near that amount, it
Right.
would be 25% of that amount. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Klein.
Matt, how many do we have on our task force now?
So right now, we have 2 individuals. We continually ask for others to be a part of it, but again, due to short staffing, that seems to be the limiting factor on us being able to add more outside agencies to the task force. However, we have offered, or we will be offering up overtime for our deputies, many of whom would like to do this type of work, that enjoy the drug interdiction type things. So we're going to actually offer overtime to those deputies who would like to do that. So that should be an added benefit to the task force.
So possibly we're going to up it by a few, maybe at least on their days off or whatever?
I've got about 8 deputies that are interested right now, and of those are very proactive, so I would imagine Commander Baxter will have quite a bit of help.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no questions. So I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to authorize the Sheriff's Office electronic submission of an fiscal year 2023 drug, gang, and violent crime control grant application in the amount of $719,390.15 to the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, Marion, do you have any paperwork on the next item? Okay, thank you. Moving on to regular agenda item 2D.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
as we move on to the next agenda item, we'd like to set up the conference line so Mr. Menlove can also participate.
We'll go right ahead.
Okay, so we're getting ready to move around in front of you, so.
Tell me what to push, I'll push it, Jackie. That'll really fix it.
I'm going to go ahead and read it while we're punching in numbers. Information, discussion, action to consider a request to provide $500,000 to the City of Globe that will be used for the Let's Dive In Community Center Swimming Pool Rehabilitation project. Determine
Welcome
the
to
contribution
Lumen
amount
Conferencing.
and
Please
authorize
enter
the
your
chairman's
passcode
signature
followed by the pound or hash key,
on
and I'll
intergovernmental
connect
agreement,
you.
IGA number 00002022. Once the contribution amount has been entered upon the IGA.
Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. When you hear the tone, you will be the first
Linda, you're
person
up.
to join the meeting. The line
Come
will
on
be
up.
silent until another person joins.
Good morning, Chairman, and Board of Supervisors. Thank you
Good morning, hold
again.
on just a second. James, did we get you connected? Yeah, if you'll hold just a second to see.
I know he's on YouTube,
Okay,
so I believe he can hear us. I just don't think he's called in yet, but I have given him the codes.
okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead if he's at least on YouTube. And that's confirmed, correct?
I have no way of knowing.
You have no way of knowing, so we're not confirmed that
He
we
told-
have a
He
county
told me
manager.
that he was watching on YouTube, and there we go, he just called in.
James, are you connected?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good enough, then we'll go ahead. Linda, sorry for the interruption, go ahead.
No, thank you, Chairman, appreciate that. Thank you again for inviting us back. Last time we were here, it was in October of last year, and we have some exciting additions to our partnerships. Since then, we have received an additional $150,000 from BHP to expand the scope and meet the needs of their recreation priorities. Our most recent partner is the Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center, and we're very excited to announce that they have come to the table with $1.5 million. And this was the match grant that was once established and announced to the community for the benefit of community wellness and recreation. And so we began our dialogue with the hospital early winter, and now we have a rendering that we just received from our architectural team, and you should have that in front of you. And this is just done over the weekend, and so this is the scope that we're at now. The piece that the hospital brings is beyond the original scope of our current contract, and that allows us to redo the splash pad, expand the boundaries, and to redo the bathhouse. And Jerry will go over more about that in just a moment. So just to kind of reiterate where we're at, regaining access to our community pool aligns with the mission of the 2019 Gila County 5-year strategic plan to promote safety in workplaces, recreation areas, and communities, as well as the county's focus areas of responsible resource management. We're able to leverage stakeholder support of the pool through infill development opportunity. Workforce development. Many of our major employers in the community find that a pool in our community is a feature considered by many to be an essential amenity for families to consider to move here and work here. Safety, of course, availability of swim lessons for all ages to promote water safety. and economic development, providing a beautiful community facility to improve the quality of life for our residents and the ability to host regional swimming events. These events can bring up to 200 to 300 people over the weekend, and many come the night before and stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants throughout the weekend. Globe Miami and Gila County residents have consistently identified recreation as a priority in various community assessments, the last one being last year's recreation survey that was conducted through the Cobra Valley Watershed Partnership Group. In fact, 75% of those 800 respondents across the region rated access to water recreation as their top priority. Without the community center pool, the entire Globe Miami and San Carlos region have been without access to water recreation facility. And the 2016 to 20 Gila County and Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center CHIP, in fact, we are all undergoing the refresh of that plan, identified the need to increase opportunities for people to engage in structured and group recreational opportunities as a critical method of addressing the health priority of obesity. Our community center pool is only one of many community infrastructure improvement projects that we will have to come together on to make possible. Others include the Northeast Corridor sewer extension, workforce development, sewer for the Tri-City region, of course housing, a regional economic development plan, fire and flood mitigation, and of course new business, incubation, and support, all the way from small mom and pops to commercial and industrial. Collaboration is key here, and we as a region are strategically planning for our economic futures. So development opportunities and prosperity will and should ripple from one region to the other. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Jerry.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Yeah, just
Jerry
state your
Barnes.
name for the,
Jerry Barnes, I'm the city engineer for the city of Globe,
thank you, sir.
and Linda's assistant. So I want to tell you what exciting times that we live in right now. You know, 60 years ago, this community came together, and we decided that we needed recreation in the community, and we put together a committee of influent people in the community, but also businesses and construction companies, and we built a pool. That was 60 years ago. On July 4th, we opened that pool. So we hope to open it again 60 years later with the rendering that we're showing you today. You know, 60 years ago, we recognized that that one entity couldn't open this pool. We partnered with the county. We partnered with the local contractors. I know some of the same contractors who worked on this 60 years ago are now working on it again today. So, and I'm talking about Domlin and so forth. And we're right now where we're at on the project is we're getting a lot of our funding in order. It's a perfect time for the planets to align. We have the ARPA money coming in that not only the City of Globe, but the county can use as well. We also have a grant to replace some of the, CDBG grant to replace some of the community assets in its park, in other words, the playground equipment and so forth, and we'll be doing that. We also have WIFA money that we're replacing the wastewater, the sanitary lines in that area. The project that we're working on is for the community center and to get that off of septic tanks and septic systems and get it into our sanitary system. So that's going as well. That in fact, that'll probably go out to bid as early as April. So then in addition to that, we're struggling a little bit on the grant that we applied for the sidewalk money, but we hope for that will come back as well with a partnership between Gila County and City of Globe, putting the sidewalks in between the college and the community center and all the way out to Connie's Bridge. Speaking of which, Connie's Bridge is out is advertising right now to construct. We anticipate getting a contractor on board by April or at the utmost early May. So all this is happening together. You know, we have some asphalt programs in the area that we're hoping to implement, as well as we're running gas lines in the community center right now to accommodate the pool. I guess Linda brought me along just to tell you that the pieces are coming together, and we would love for you guys to be a part of this. We absolutely can use the funding to make sure that we get all the amenities and all the things that we need this year rather than wait a year and put it into the budget for next year. So we're actively seeking, our letter says $500,000, but we would take more than that too. We're actually actively looking for as much as we can get to provide the community with as many amenities as we possibly can get. Have I forgot anything?
I would mention APS.
Yeah, so APS and Southwest Gas is also trying to partner with us. APS is relocating, they're doing a lot of the design work to relocate the lines, the conduit and so forth for our in-park lighting, and working with us because we're going to actually put lighting inside the pool. So they're working with that to make sure we get the right design and so forth. But they're actually a partner on the outdoor lighting. And then Southwest Gas, we have to run at least 3 gas lines in, one for the pool heater, which will extend our opening probably 2 months, and then 1 meter for the hot water heaters in the buildings, and then 1 meter for the concession for future. So and they're jumping in and doing the design and hopefully sharing in some of the costs in that too. So we're doing what we can to get this project past the finish line. And that's one of the reasons we're here today. Do you have any questions?
I think we do.
I would assume you did,
Okay.
because Linda's here to answer them all.
Well, I think some of our staff may have to answer some of them. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
Comments?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at your material here,
Yeah.
funding, and I added it up. It's a little over 3 million so far. So how much money is this project going to need to complete? I mean, you're at $3 million now.
Right. So with the amenities that, to bring this to a aerobic center,
Aquatic.
aquatic center,
That's okay.
tongue-tied.
Okay.
We're looking somewhere around 4.2, something like that. And we have some resources that will bring it up to that point. We just haven't been able to lock them in, so.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would mention that when we presented in October, our plan included an event room and a concession area. And we've had to shave those amenities off of the project due to increasing supply costs. And so with this partnership with Gila County, those projects could come back online to roll out during this season. Even if we do have to complete the build-out of the concession area after the season, at least we would be able to put in the pad and the stubs to provide the concession area in the coming year.
Thank you.
Well, the project looks nice, it does, and it's well presented, thank you for that. So I represent District 1, okay, so my concern is whether the county's participation in this as may be worthy, and we really haven't had time to talk about this. I mean, we haven't, it seems like I'm not prepared to make a vote today on a dollar amount. I want to make sure that we balance our spending countywide. I see it as a very worthy project, though, and so I support the project. I just want to make sure that I support the entire county as we distribute money for projects like this, a swimming pool, aquatic center, and all of that. So I'd like to see the project completed. I just don't know what I feel about how much the county should participate in that. So those are just comments. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Christian. Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good presentation. I remember the last one that you guys did. It was well presented as well. So my question is probably, my first question is to our finance ladies. Is there any money budgeted for this project?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein. I believe when we talked in the work session last week, we had identified line items. So those line items are still in your ballpark to say, yes, no, this is where money should be spent. We do have funds available, but it's really at your direction on where those funds go. And James is on the phone. He probably can elaborate more than I can, if so desired.
So it's really hard, because of our work session just last week. We have a ton of projects on that work session. And that was what it was just a work session to kind of discuss it. But my question would be, and maybe not to you, Mary, but maybe to James, is there a line item budget that has money to go towards this project?
James, do you want to comment? Going
Mr.
once?
Chairman?
There
Go
he is.
ahead.
There is not necessarily in the budget a line item that has been listed for this project because we're about a year into the budget, and so there is not a line item that has allocated any dollars for this project.
Thank you, James. So my way of thinking, you guys, great project and everything, but we have a priority we have to get straight, and that's where our money's going to go. I know that sitting as a board, we could probably make a decision to do something. So I'm going to let you talk a
Mr.
little bit.
Chairman?
Let me think about this, Chairman.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Mr. Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, I hear what Supervisor Christensen has said, that we are an entire county of 5,000 square miles, and that whatever we do, whatever you do as a Board of Supervisors, that you have to take into consideration all of those 5,000 square miles and all the residents that you serve in that 5,000 square miles. We know that the town of Payson is in the exact same position that the city of Globe is in, that they do not have any water recreation in the town of Payson or in northern Gila County at all, other than private services that might be available through country clubs and those kinds of things. So there's not any public water recreation in northern Gila County of a swimming pool. As you know, as you've mentioned, that there was a list of $35 million that was presented to the Board of Supervisors of projects that we have brought forward, and that list is certainly not all inclusive of everything that needs to be included on that list. Things that we need to consider, the things that we need to address as a county, things that involve safety and being able to ensure the safety of our employees and residents of Gila County. And as I understand, I watched the first part of the discussion last week, but did not, after the break, I got dropped off and then was not able to listen into the second half of the conversation last week. All I know is that there was additional information that was requested by the Board of Supervisors and to have additional work sessions specifically for public roads issues, the sheriff's office and their issues, and then another topic that we need to zero down in to determine how much of the $10 million that we have in ARPA money to cover those $35 million plus of projects that are staring us in the face. Now, one thing that I can say we can do is that we do have money that's available in our REIT, and it would be premature at this point, I believe, to try to allocate ARPA dollars for this because we want to establish priorities, just as you discussed last week, and then as we have those priorities, obviously we can't get to $35, $40 million of projects with $10 million. So we need to establish priorities working with you as a board and then be able to fund those to the extent that we can and the extent that they are a priority of Gila County. I will propose or recommend or give an option today that we do have our refunds account that is not tax dollars, but that there is some money that's available there that can be allocated. It's allocated on to address more miscellaneous things that we could come upon through the year. And I would say that we could allocate $100,000 of that money at this point. Not saying that this is a final amount or anything it is, but that we could commit that amount of money today without having concerns that it's going to take away from something else and become an issue for in the future. If we'd prefer to establish this as in our complete priorities of ARPA monies and along with our budget that is for fiscal year 2022-23, then that is an ongoing process that will take another 5-6 months.
Are you finished, James?
I'm sorry?
Does that complete your comment at this point?
At this point, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have to agree with the other board members. I do not feel prepared to give you an amount today. I have heard from Mr. Minlove just now that we've got funding, but we also have needs from the rest of our county as well, and other towns and cities. So I would probably recommend that we put this on a work session and don't make a judgment call today, because I can't talk to the other supervisors unless it's in a work session. I can't ask Supervisor Christensen what's going on in Payson and what he's going to want to fund. I can't ask Supervisor Klein what he's going and what he needs funding for and funding availability. So where I'm at as chairman today, I apologize that the board's not prepared to give you an amount today, but I would, unless the board wants to pull a number out of their hat and put it for a motion, I would almost make a motion to continue this until we're better prepared.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Supervisor Klein.
So I think this is a good time to discuss a little bit of this. If James has $100,000 sitting there that isn't ARPA money and isn't anything else, but it's just money sitting in an account for what ifs, would either one of you feel comfortable if we obligating that $100,000 towards these guys' project while we roll the rest of it into our next meeting when, wherever that's going to be?
I would be, yes, I would be, I support the project 150%, believe me. It was fantastic when the community came together and the hospital joined you guys. I mean, it was like, it was amazing. And so I supported 1,000,000%. I just am not comfortable in how much I can support it. So yeah, to give you an amount today that we're safe for 100, I'm prepared to do that. But on the note that we do have a work session on this particular item to see where we're at with the rest of the county and how much we can actually help you but I don't want $100,000 to be a dead end to this conversation or project.
So with that in mind, rolling it forward into our next discussion, you know, we were presented with 2 pages of projects for a ton of money. And there's some of those projects that won't need to be on there, I can tell you that. But I think this is one that I'm certainly serious about helping you guys to whatever extent possible we can. So what I would like to say is that if we're going to go back here in the near future and maybe extract some of those projects off that 2 pages of list, that this one comes off of there for us to discuss as well, to where we can really sit there and look at it. But for me to step out and spend any money, any additional money that we're not prepared to spend, I'm not real comfortable. But the 100,000, if James is saying we have that, I would be willing to go forward with the 100,000 today, with the idea we're going to discuss this in the near future again.
Supervisor Christensen, comments?
My initial is that we do need to have a work study. We need to talk about it, and I, just to give 100,000 today and then re-examine it doesn't make sense to me as much as let's examine it, let's talk about it, and then let's come up with the number we want to do, which may be the 100,000, but we don't have to vote on that today. So I would be inclined to table this until after, have it come up on another future agenda.
James, is Supervisor Klein correct in the comment that we're safe for 100,000 now until we discuss further where we're at?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that is based on the numbers that this project has become, over $4 million, that $100,000 is not what the city is looking for. And it would just be a placeholder at this point. So, and I don't know the timing of when the city might need these funds, but if we can work through this in the next few months, get our priorities and get a list, then we can get a hard amount of how much we can contribute to the project. So I don't, as far as I understand, I don't believe that would cause a hardship of just tabling this all together and knowing that we're going to have detailed discussions in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm back to the city. You guys have heard all the discussions, and so I'm not sure where you're at with your contractors, with your construction, with your others. You know, it sounds to me that you may be able to get some today, and we'll look at the big picture at some point. And so I guess would a little bit help you in scheduling your construction events until we get a chance to get with our finance and our staff and all the supervisors together to see what we can do and give you that all at once so you can go there, or like you say, for sidewalks or things of that nature, would a little bit help you now on the promise that we're going to look for more soon?
Chairman Humphrey, board members, our project is set up with 2 contracts on it now, one for Cobra Valley Community Medical Center and one for the City of Globe. We are moving together as partners in that, and we are designing as we go. It's a design and build. So we are paring back what we can afford. So any money that we have in the kitty at this point, we can go ahead and design for. So, and then we would decide to add some of those other amenities if in a later work session that the county would come forward with some more funding. But you know, it's a weekly thing. Every Thursday we meet and decide what we can afford, and a lot of the concept drawings that you've got in front of you are the whole project built out 100%. You know, we're not going to be able to afford all that. So what is it, 4.6 million or something like that if we build it out entirely, and we just don't have that money going right now. So it would help us in the design portion of it if we had some money up front, but we are certainly willing to wait to see where your ARPA money falls out and so forth. But you know, remember, these projects are being designed, so they're on the shelf and ready. They're not a project that has to go through design and environmental and so forth. We've already done that. So that's, I guess is that the comment you wanted?
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, I just asking for input, and so thank you very much for that input, because like you say, it's design as you go, and you can only design what you can afford to design at the time,
Yeah.
with a deadline
Mr.
date.
Chairman?
Yes, James Menlove, go ahead.
Yeah, a question that I haven't gotten answered and I'm looking for is, what is the drop dead date? I hear that, and that's what the discussion has been, is that it's going to be designed according to what resources there are. When is this decision going to be made? A date of when is the decision going to be made of this is what our project entails and this is what we can afford. When is that going to happen?
Well, the design plans are out today.
That's what it,
And, yeah,
today, yeah,
today,
that's why I
and,
put it on an agenda item.
And we still need to meet with the shareholders to discuss what we can afford and what we can't afford. So the contractors were putting together more hardened numbers because it was an estimate up to this point, so they're getting numbers from their contractors. So we're getting to the point, James, where we're going to be able to say, if we had this, we can afford this, that kind of thing. So, and, you know,
Mr. Chairman?
James, with that information, does that change your amount?
No, that doesn't answer my question at all. It says we're still in the process and we're going to look at this. I still don't know, is there going to be a determination in 2 weeks, 2 months, or in 6 months?
Mr. Barnes,
What
I guess he's looking for,
time frame is this going to be? I just keep hearing that we're doing this and it's a process. I'm asking for how long is this going to take to make that determination?
yeah, so James, I can tell you in the month of March that will be decided on because the plans are coming out. You know, a big portion of the additional amenities are with the hospital. They've contracted for those, and we haven't seen the final numbers on them yet. So, you know, the city has a not to exceed on theirs, which is 2.3, I believe. Plus, we had a couple change orders, so I think it's around 2.4 right now. And our other stakeholders, you know, the mines and so forth, we've ran through the budget with them, and they know where we're at. At this point, if you ask me today, I'm going to tell you that these are all estimates. If you ask me 3 weeks from now, I'm going to tell you that they're pretty in line with what we're going to spend. And remember, the hospital's contract is time, materials plus. So we have to account for everything we spend.
okay, I guess what James is asking is the county needs a date of when you need our number.
April 15th, how about that?
Okay, April 15th. James, did that help?
Same day the
Yes,
IRS gave me.
thank you. That's
Okay, so you have to know something by April 15th.
Yeah, that would be good if we.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. So I guess with that said,
Would you like a motion?
well, yeah. James, that number helped you, so we can create a work session within that to get some things done and maybe put this aside until before
Mr.
then?
Chairman, yes, absolutely. And that coincides with the ARPA monies in that, according to the final rule, we can start spending money according to the final rules on April 1st. So that gives us some time to have a discussion, and then that we can actually commit and allocate dollars from the money after April 1st. So, yeah, it would be my thought that that the board could table this until middle of April.
Okay, yeah, okay. I believe that we have come to an end of this conversation, unless the city has something to comment on.
Just want to make sure that we all understand that April 15th is our target date. So if we could request a work session in the month of March for determination before that.
Okay,
not
well,
having
also
the
too,
work
you said
session-
April 1st is when we can start spending the arbor money. And so, yeah, we will work within the county to get a work session to get you what, maybe not the amount that you need, but the amount that we can give you by April 15th.
And we're okay if it's more than that.
Okay, James, were you still on? No.
Yes, that is fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us today. It was very, very helpful having you here, James. So, yes, if there's no more questions for the board, I'll call for a motion.
I have a question, probably for you.
Go right ahead.
So I'm still hung up on this $100,000 we have sitting there. I imagine our directors could live without that for a while. They just don't have anything go wrong between now and later. So I just feel like we need to push something on to them. We know we're going to give them an amount, but if we can step forward with that, I would like that.
Okay, if you got my 2 cents worth, I'm sure that there's paperwork involved because it asked for my signature.
I've got a motion for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the chairman's signature on intergovernmental agreement IGA number 00002022 to contribute $100,000 to the City of Globe's Let's Dive In Community Center Swimming Pool Rehabilitation Project contingent upon the contribution amount being added to the IGA before being signed.
And I'll second it. Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was approved. Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, declined by Supervisor Christensen. Thank you very much, and we will get a work session going. Thank you all very much for being here today.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
And
We
we'll
look
go
forward to our work
forward.
session.
You bet, and Jerry, I hope that helps a little bit with some of your design.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to regular agenda item 2E. Information discussion action to approve a communication use lease with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service through December 31st, 2042 for the Signal Peak Number 6 communication site. Mr. O'Driscoll.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So this is a typical lease with the U.S. Forest Service, so we can use the space on our Signal Peak Tower up there, and apparently they went back in their records and there was no official lease ever signed. So we're making it official with the U.S. Forest Service so we could continue to use the tower site up there in Signal Peak. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
I have no questions, thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Michael, when it comes to these sites, is there anything new coming from the Forest Service as far as the lease agreements or anything like that? Or is it still standard old?
So it's standard language, and it has been for years, and you'll notice in there that there's a component of payment to the U.S. Forest Service through a lease. And they have never charged for that, and there is talk, again, of charging the county a particular fee to use that site, as well as other organizations like the Pinal Mountain Communication Group down here for use of some of the tower space. They have never charged us unless we had a company on our site that would sell a service, and then that would be based on that company and all sorts of formulas there. But we may get charged, but we have not been charged up until this point.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you betcha, sir.
Okay, and so this 20-year lease would probably be signed before there's a charge?
No, the charge can come at any given time. They
Okay,
have
this is just to let us use it.
Yes, correct.
And right now it's free, but if they say it's $300 a month and we're tied into it for 20 years,
Correct.
okay. But that's still cheaper than building our own tower.
Oh, much cheaper, sir.
Okay. All right, good enough. That's mine. If there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the communications use lease with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service through December 31st, 2042 for the Signal Peak number 6 communication site.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion, a second. Did you say 2022 or 2042?
2042, I believe.
Okay, good. I was just checking because I thought I heard something different. Okay, having a motion, a second. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved.
Thank you.
You got the next one, too. Information discussion action to accept a grant award from the Arizona Department of Health Services Bureau of Women and Children Health Grant number RFGA 2022-022 to the Health and Emergency Management Department in the amount of $50,000.01 to establish Youth Advisory Council in Gila County for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Great. Thank you, Chairman, members of the board again. So this is an exciting grant. Back in November, this board approved us to apply for a grant. And this, we received the award letter for this grant. And it's one of these grants that we have never received before. And what this money will be used for is to create youth councils in the high schools in Payson and in Globe. So we're going to do 2 youth councils, and it's going to be directly communicating with that group, the high schoolers, to find out what's going on in the schools, what's going on in the community, so we may be able to identify some public health issues, alcoholism, drug abuse, those kinds of things, so we better understand what's going on with the youth in our county than we have in the past. So this is a direct communication with that group, and we're excited to get this going. And so this agenda item is just requesting approval of this receiving of the grant monies.
Okay, thank you. Question, Supervisor Christensen.
No question, just a comment. I love the amount, 50,000 and 1 penny.
Yeah,
That's just,
you saw that, huh, sir? Yeah.
so anyway, that's all.
So Michael, this is a good thing. You know, I remember when I first took office 5 years ago that we had a group of kids come through here. I don't know if you remember, Tim, but they were really working on the tobacco use in the high school and things like that. So this, thinking back to that, this fits really well with that, and it'll be a good thing for our county, I'm
You
sure.
betcha, sir, absolutely.
So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
And I have no questions, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to accept a grant award from the Arizona Department of Health Services Bureau of Women's and Children's Health, grant number RFGA 2022-022, to the Health and Emergency Management Department in the amount of $50,001 to establish youth advisory councils in Gila County for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
I will second that.
Having a motion, second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you, Michael,
Great.
for
Thank
all you
you.
do. Okay, good morning, Melissa. Was there one of these that you were going to put off to another meeting? One of these?
A little bit further down the line there.
Oh, it's further down the line.
I'd like me to do that.
Okay. Okay, down the line. Okay, good enough. And going to G, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to the independent contract agreement, contract number 07012021-22 between the Arizona Community Action Association, BDA Wildfire, and the Gila County Community Service Department Community Action Program to add $20,320 to APS, Arizona Public Service, Chris Billing Assistance Fund for a total of $30,870, resulting in a new contract amount of $138,910 through June 30th, 2022. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Chairman Humphrey, members of the board. This is an amendment to a current contract. We've received this contract and these dollars over the years, for several years now, and it's just an additional $20,000 that they go mid-year, and if there's extra money out there or somebody's not spending, we usually line up and put our hand out, so this is what this is.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, Supervisor Christensen?
No, I don't think I have any questions. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good. Thank you, Melissa.
And I have no questions, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the amendment number 1 to the independent contractor agreement number 07012021-22 with the Arizona Community Action Association doing business as Wildfire.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Going on to H, information discussion action to approve amendment number 020 to an agreement for emergency-wise low-income weatherization program implementation between the Gila County Community Service Department Housing Services and the Arizona Public Service Company to allocate an amount not to exceed $95,000 for the 2022 calendar year and to make some other minor changes to the agreement. Melissa.
Chairman Humphrey, members of the board, I'm asking you today to approve this amendment through Arizona Public Service. It goes directly to our weatherization services and leveraged with the other dollars that we receive. APS does this through the Corporation Commission, and it goes out to all 11 community action programs in the state. And they're on a calendar year, so we're a little bit behind. We should have had this in January, but that's what this is for.
Okay. Supervisor Christensen, questions, comments?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Melissa, what kind of minor changes are you kind of talking about in these agreements?
Misspelling of a word,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay, thanks. Other than
Yeah.
that, I'm good.
Okay, yeah, real minor. Is this all part of that one agreement where you have a weatherization contractor that does a not to exceed for the year?
Yeah, it's part of some of the funding
This is
that
part of
goes
that
into
funding that
Mhm.
funds that contractor?
Yes, sir.
So this isn't for local, it's for whoever gets the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Then I have no further questions, and I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 020 to an agreement for energy-wise low-income weatherization program implementation with Arizona Public Service Company.
I will second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Moving on to I. Information discussion action to approve a subscription agreement for the Gila Housing Affordable Housing Project whereby the Gila County Community Service Department will be an active partner with Gila House Incorporated, and the Community Service Department will serve as a pass-through entity for this 5-year funding in the amount of $65,000 that will be used to promote affordable housing in Gila County. Melissa.
Chairman Humphrey, members of the board, this is the item that I would like to table and move forward to our next meeting. I need to do a better job of explaining where it came from and how it got here, and doing a better evaluation, not only for the board, but for the public. So I'm requesting that you table this
Okay, thank you.
item.
Then I will call for a motion to table this item for a future meeting.
Thank you, Melissa. I will make that motion to table this item to I.
And I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was tabled. Moving on to J. Information, discussion, action to approve funding agreement number 519-22 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the Gila County Community Service Department to receive $7,000 of Continuum of Cares, COC, planning, funding to be used through December 31st, 2022, whereby the Gila County Community Service Department will act as a lead Gila County COC and will be responsible for activities, discussions, and meetings directed at ending homelessness. Melissa.
This contract request and approval is for our local homeless task force, local Gila County Homeless Task Force, that we have over 40 members that attend currently by Zoom. It helps us do our homeless count every year. It helps me fund a very small portion of a position and meet all the deliverables, that belong to the continuum of care that we do through the Arizona Department of Housing.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Is this spent in southern Gila County or countywide or?
Countywide, sir.
Okay.
Always countywide.
Okay, all right. Thank you. No, I don't have any more questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Melissa. This, I think ever since we kind of got in there on that continuum of care, that was kind of a plus for the county. So any little amounts, whatever we can do to help, that's been good. So thank you for that.
It's been a very, if I may comment, it's been a very good plus for Gila County population and homeless population, and bringing people together so that we can work. We have very close partnerships with Community Bridges, Horizon, Southwest Behavioral. We're on, first name basis, and they're on our cell phones. We help people. We've housed 15, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but for Gila County, that wasn't housed before. Community
Right.
Bridges got a very large grant. We're still trying to help another nonprofit get a very large grant. We're working hard at this, and we have had an explosion in the last month and a half of people, seniors, because of the housing crisis, families. We're juggling 15 to 20 families and seniors all at one time in the air right now, trying to find them a place to land their head that's warm.
Right.
So,
No, my
Anyway,
hat's
thank
off
you.
to you guys. It's a good thing, and Supervisor Christensen, if you ever get a chance to speak with Melissa on this continuum of care and what we've done, it's a really good deal, and we've only had it now for 3 years, I think, 4, 3,
3.
yeah, so, thank you again,
This is the third
Melissa.
contract with the Continuum.
Yes.
with ADOH.
So, okay,
I would like to have more discussions with you about that, so,
Yes, sir. I'll call you.
thanks.
Okay. Then if that's all the discussion we have now, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve funding agreement number 519-22 with the Arizona Department of Housing.
I will second that.
Motion and second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye, item was approved unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa, for all you do. Moving on to K. Information, discussion, action for the public sale of a portion of Holly Drive in Pine on the White Oak Glen official map number 346, Gila County Records, Gila County, Arizona, to Covenant Interests Investment LLC, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Burnett, in the amount of $1,646. Steve Sanders.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. This road, Holly Drive, is off of Cedar Meadow. It's in Pine, off of Pine Creek Canyon. There was a previous sale of a portion of the road to the Bennett's. They've come back and asked for more. The Bennett's are the only owners beyond the road and on both sides of the road. The price meets the policy and guidelines of vacations of roadways in Gila County. Should you accept their offer today, we'll be back in front of you in the near future with a quitclaim deed for you to sign deeding the road to the Bennett's. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sanders, so I have three colors here. I got like a red, an orange, and a green. So which one is it? All of them? None of them?
Let me see if I have that in my stuff. If not, I will. Yes. Yes, it is.
It's which parcel?
It's all three colors
All three.
because they own different, they hold title different to the adjoining land, so it's broken up into three, but it's for everything.
So they're wanting to do this mainly to get it off the tax rolls.
To control access, and it will come off the tax rolls, and they will be paying taxes on it. I'm sorry, it will go on the tax rolls. It's off the tax rolls right now. It's a county-maintained road. They want to be able to control access so people don't come up into their yards, turn around. There's big, them and the neighbors both have big lakes up there, and I guess people go in and try to fish and swim, and then there's also liability issues to them. They've put a gate up. This will allow them to control the only access in.
Okay, so I think I got this backwards. We're selling it to them.
Correct.
We're not buying it from them.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, Chair.
I'm good. I'll call for a motion.
I'll move to sell a portion of Holly Drive in Pine on the White Oaks Glen official map number 346, Gila County Records, and in Gila County, Arizona, to Covenant Interest Investments LLC, which is Mr. and Mrs. Robert Bennett, in the amount of $1,646.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Moving on to L. Information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-03-01. Accepting South Mackey Camp Road as a primitive road upon the terms and conditions set forth in Gila County Policy Number PWS-001 and authorize the execution of the primitive road easement. Steve Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. South Mackey Camp Road is west of Miami. A portion's in the county, a portion is in the town. The county and the town entered into an IGA to maintain the road. Last year, the town would pay for maintenance on their side. The county would pay for it on their side. Before that could happen, easements needed to be acquired from everyone along the road. There was issues getting easements from some of the people. The town found a public road easement that covered the area in the town where they didn't have an easement. They recently approved accepting that into their system. Thereby, the town or the county and people have dedicated easements, so there are good easements to the county all the way through the road. You accept this today, we'll be able to put it in the primitive road system and begin maintaining the road at a point in the future. Happy to answer any questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. So is this road or any portion of it private land?
It's all private land with an easement granted to the county or to the town.
So we're allowed to designate a private property road as a primitive road?
If we have an easement, if an easement has been granted to us and you as a board accept that easement.
Okay, so does that indemnify the property owner?
That would be a question for the attorney. My thought would be, no, because we have, I've seen lawsuits in the past where there was an accident on the road and the attorneys just started naming everybody from the owner to who holds the easement to anybody around. But again, that's just my opinion. The attorney can answer that better than I can.
Jessica, you want to comment?
Yes, Chairman Supervisor Christensen. There's no language in the easement that would indemnify the homeowner, so if someone wanted to file suit, they would likely include all parties.
By designating it a primitive road, the county doing so, does it indemnify the county?
From gross negligence.
Okay, so, okay. So I suppose we have a few roads like this in the county, but it doesn't seem, what if the homeowners or the owner of the property, the road, were to donate that land to the county and then it becomes a primitive road? It would indemnify the owner since they don't own it any longer. I'm speaking theoretically.
Correct. The county would then own the road. And there have been cases where people will tell us, no, we don't want to give you the road, we'll give you an easement. And there's been other cases where people say, we want to deed the road to you, we don't want anything to do with it.
Okay, so at what level then, as we vote on this, which would concern a property owner, possibly, have they been notified about that? Do they know we're about to make this vote?
Absolutely, and they've granted easements and signed easements to the county, giving the county a dedicated easement to the road.
And they're okay with it becoming a designated primitive road?
Yes.
And do we have paperwork on that, or is that something they sign?
We have paperwork,
Yeah,
yes.
you do, okay.
It will all be recorded with the resolution, the documentation, all of that will
Okay,
will go to the county recorder and be a recorded document.
okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Supervisor Christensen. We've done this primitive road agreement in several roads, and they have a pretty extensive process for petitions and signatures and all of that. So, Steve, I don't have any questions. I'm good.
I want to thank staff very, very much, because we've been working on this for the 5 years that I've been a supervisor, almost 6. And thank you, Sherry, for driving with me to notarize one of those quick claim, or one of those access agreements. And so I thank you very much. It's a great day that this is here. And so if there's no more questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 22-03-01 and authorize the execution of the primitive road easement.
I will second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Moving on to M, information, discussion, action to approve the purchase of a 2022 Caterpillar 938M wheel loader from Empire Machinery for $279,591.79 using the Cooperative City of Tucson OMNIA contract number 161534. Again, Steve Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. This will replace the loader at Buckhead Mesa landfill. Actually, both loaders need replaced. We'll be back to you next year for Russell Gulch, but Buckhead Mesa has a aging equipment or loader, it's 12,000 plus hours on it. It's getting run an average of 80 hours a month on it. Our life-to-date expenses are almost $168,000, have exceeded the cost of the loader by a sizable amount. At this point, I don't want to turn in the old loader. We want to use it as a backup because the loader at Russell Gulch is aging. Once we get it replaced, then we'll start turning in stuff or putting them in an auction instead of just stockpiling equipment. But it gets very expensive when we have to rent a loader if one goes down or use a bulldozer or something like that. This was planned and budgeted for, so the money is in the budget, and it was part of the landfill's capital budget request. Happy to answer any questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions.
Supervisor Klein.
So Steve, this is confusing because what you're wanting to do is buy a new loader and keep the one that's there, right?
As a backup for both
As a backup,
landfills,
but you're
yes.
wanting to keep it as on the landfill.
Yes,
So right there where it says the one I-006 has outlived its usefulness and Public Works is requesting replacement, shouldn't we change that to more or less we're going to keep it and have it as a backup rather than it's saying we're getting rid of it?
yeah. Chairman Humphrey, Supervisor Klein, we are going to get rid of it. It'll just be parked until we can get a replacement in for Russell Gulch. If something goes down at Russell, then we will haul this one down here to
Oh, okay.
to work as a backup instead of having to rent a piece of equipment.
Okay, my confusion. So you're going to bring it from Buckhead to Russell Gulch for an additional, or for a backup loader?
That is my understanding, yes, that it'll just sit as a backup in case something goes down.
So then, once that other loader in Russell Gulch is ready to be replaced, they'll both be replaced at that time?
No,
Or
we'll
replace one
replace one, and then
and get
we'll
rid
be
of both
back
of them.
to you probably to auction both of them or see about one as a backup. But yeah, then we'll start putting stuff in the auction.
Okay,
So we're not growing stuff.
So somewhere along the way, I'd like to visit with you about auction the equipment versus turning it in on new stuff. So, but I got you.
Okay.
And just as a side note, Supervisor Klein, we do, on some of the equipment that's not necessary, we do get trade-in. We'll trade, like a motor grader, trade in on a new one or something. It just wasn't real practical in this one.
No, I understand. I've just been watching the money we've been getting on trade-ins, and I have questions there.
Okay.
Okay, and I guess I'm sure, where is the one that this is replacing gonna set? Is it gonna set up at Bulkhead or at Russell?
The new one will go to Buckhead Mesa.
Okay, then where will the one that it's replacing be?
It will come down here as a backup to the old one that's at Russell Gulch
Okay, until it's replaced.
until we replace it, hopefully next budget year. We had budgeted 2 of them, but we'll, going to push one back till next fiscal year.
Okay. It's clear now, so I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the purchase of the 2022 Caterpillar 938M wheel loader from Empire Machinery for $279,591.79 using the cooperative city of Tucson MNIA contract number 161534.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Moving on to N, information, discussion, action to consider issuing official comments for the Board of Supervisors regarding the notice of intent to prepare an environmental impact statement for regional special use airspace optimization to support Air Force missions in Arizona. Jackie Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. So on January 18th, the Air Force published in the Federal Register a notice of intent to optimize 10 existing airspaces. They call them MOAs. The acronyms drive me crazy, but anyway. The 2 airspaces for airspace optimization that are that have the most impact on Gila County are labeled Outlaw and Jackal. So if you remember those 2 names, there are 10, I believe, of these airspaces. There's Baghdad, Gladden, Sells, Ruby, Tombstone, Morenci, and Reserve are adjacent to Jackal. So it basically covers from one side of Superior to the other side of Reserve, New Mexico, with 3 of these airspaces. Just for understanding, let me get to this link. The process for an environmental impact statement for whatever project you're doing, so it applies to the Air Force as well, is that they put out a notice of intent. That was on January 18th, it published in the Federal Register. We are in the public scoping period where they are starting to, in public scoping, they kind of throw up their ideas and they ask the public for input. That's between January 18th and March 4th, which is why we have a letter today to answer, to have the potential for a letter to go in during the scoping period. They expect to have their draft EIS ready in the fall of 2023, so 18 months from now. They will follow that with a public review and comment period. They don't have a date on that for how long that might take. Sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. They expect the final environmental impact statement to come out summer of 2024, and then a record of decision in the fall of 2024. So as interested parties or the public or interested affected parties such as the county, we have the opportunity during the public scoping period to put in comments. What that does for the county, whether we're talking about Air Force airspace or wolves, it allows us to be included in the process. Our comments become part of the official record. They have to notify us as they go through this process. Their original Federal Register notice of intent, the Air Force also sent notifications to apparently cities and towns, but forgot about counties. So we got this notice in a roundabout way. We'd like to be included in this discussion as we go forward. I'm going to go to my agenda item. Their notice of intent has 4 alternatives. This is a standard EIS, a standard environmental impact statement. Alternative 1 is no changes. Their goal in this is to expand opportunities to do training for the Air Force, which I support, but it includes lowering the height, the level at which they fly, lowering the level at which they can fly and break the sound barrier, lowering the level at which they can drop flares while they're doing their training exercises. Just so you know. Alternative 1 represents no changes to any of these 10. Alternative 2, and I'm only going to speak to the parts that affect us, right? Alternative 2 has some other things, but it's to fully optimize the 10 existing MOAs, including lowering the floors of Outlaw and Jackal, that's us, to 500 feet above ground level. It's currently 3,000 feet. Lowering the altitude for releasing flares to 2,000 feet from the current 3,000 feet, and authorizing supersonic flight at 5,000, that's breaking the sound barrier, at 5,000 feet from the existing 30,000 feet. Alternative 3 is a variation of Alternative 2, which would include all of those modifications proposed, but would lower the floor of the Jackal MOA to 100 feet. Let me go back and look. I believe we're Jackal. I believe Outlaw are our neighbors. Let me go look at this proposed action and see if I can find. Yeah, we're Jackal. Outlaw is around the Superior area, in case you wonder. Alternative 4 is a variation of Alternative 2 and would include all of the modifications for Alternative 2, and they speak to all the other airspaces. I'm just focusing on the parts that are us. But would authorize supersonic flight at 10,000 feet for Outlaw and Jackal. Instead of lowering it to 5,000, it would keep the flight lowering, it would keep the flare lowering, but it would only lower supersonic flight from 30 to 10 instead of 30 to 5. And so we have prepared a draft comment letter. It's attached to the agenda item, and it for the Board of Supervisors to consider approving and adopting our county issues as outlined in this draft letter. Our issues are, number one, limited public meeting opportunities and did not receive formal notification. Cities and towns did, but counties apparently did not, nor did our neighbor counties. Fighter jet training as low as 1,500 feet above ground level in Gila County Military Operations Area. Supersonic flights as low as 5,000 feet will cause extreme noise and sonic booms above dozens of rural communities and sensitive natural resources. Number three, extreme noise from, and they're bullet pointed, not numbered in the letter. Extreme noise from the training will impact wildlife and domestic animals, degrade the quality of life that are the foundations of tourism, outdoor recreation, and ranching economies in the region. The next one, dropping of flares as low as 2,000 feet increases the risk of wildfires in an area already vulnerable to catastrophic wildfires and with limited resources for firefighting. And the last one, the proposal creates a 5,000 above ground level supersonic pathway for Arizona Air Force bases from Globe, Arizona to Reserve, New Mexico, actually across multiple tribal lands, dozens of communities, and into America's first wilderness. Our preference at this point is to support alternative one, which is no action. It's preferred over the other three alternatives at this time. And then I would take comments, and we can, based on your comments, make changes. If there is authorization from this board to sign, this comment period closes on Thursday.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, I remember when we used to hear sonic booms all the time. It would rattle the windows and everything, and I haven't heard one in a really long time. And I agree with the letter. I think it's good. I believe no action would be the choice I would choose myself. I don't see, I mean, I love our military and all of that. I just don't see that I would want these changes in our county. It's going to scare all those very expensive wolves.
It will.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all I have.
Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, same for me, Mr. Chair. I'm good.
I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to issue official comments from the Board of Supervisors regarding the notice of intent to prepare an environmental impact statement for regional special use airspace optimization to support Air Force missions in Arizona as discussed.
I will second.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously.
Thank you,
Moving
Mr.
on.
Chair. And before we go on, we'll be back as we go through that process. There are at least 2 and probably 3 other places where, as you all know from other EISs, we will be providing comments as they take this scoping and write their EIS. They may modify those alternatives based on what they hear from the public now. So we'll be watching this closely so that we continue to comment at the appropriate times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 3, consent agenda action items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as a regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Does anyone care to remove the consent agenda A through L today?
No, sir.
Supervisor Klein?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then I will call for a motion to accept consent agenda items A through L.
Chairman Humphrey, I will move to approve the consent agenda items 3A through 3L.
And I'll second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda items were approved unanimously. Moving on to 4, call to the public. Do we have any public in Payson today that would care to address the board?
No, sir.
Do we have any public here? We didn't get any paperwork, so we have no one here. Do we have anyone on YouTube that would care to address the board today?
Not today, sir. At the highest, we had 20 today.
20 people today. Excellent. I like that people are getting involved. makes things more interesting, and I'm glad that they're concerned. Okay, so there's no call to the public, so I will move on to 5. And anytime during this meeting pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K, members of the Board of Supervisors and County Manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken on information presented. Mr. Menlove, are you still online today? Going once.
Mr. Chair, he had mentioned to me that he had nothing further,
Oh, okay.
but I think I just heard him.
Mr. Menlove, are you on?
I am on.
Okay, do you have
not-
some comments for us today?
Nothing further than we've already discussed. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank-
Board, thank you.
I thank you very much for being with us today. Okay, Jackie, being you're sitting here, do you have anything for us today?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll move on. Supervisor Christensen, do you have any comments for us today?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Keep them within 3 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
What's that? Last week I was on KMOG, went very well. Tomorrow I'll be on KRIM, that always goes well. Last Saturday, I'm sure Woody will contribute to these comments as well. We had a meeting with local veterans and veterans out of Phoenix, VFW, those several group heads there, lots of veterans in our area, 7,000 or so, and that's what they're saying in northern Gila County. So we had a meeting at the Moose Lodge there in Star Valley, and it went really well. And, we really need to recognize and commend Woody and Kathy for everything that they have done for the facility that's ongoing in the Young area. That's a tremendous thing. It's taken them years to get where we are, and we're going to have ownership of that soon. And so they've done a great work there, and so they should be recognized for that. Tomorrow, I am going to be meeting with the sheriff and Mr. Benny Serra, and we're going to be discussing the detention officer and deputy pay legislation that's moving through the state legislature. I need to know what he feels about it and maybe present some ideas to him about how that may impact their budget and the negative side of maybe having that kind of legislation. You, Mr. Chairman, have set up your pre-fire meeting for March 22nd, I believe it is, here. And we have set up ours for northern Gila County for March 24th, in which you both will be invited, if you'd like. That'll be at Messengers, so we'll be looking forward to that at 9 o'clock on Thursday, March 24th. That's all.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So instead of 3 minutes, I get 6 for the work on the veterans
Yeah,
deal?
I'm just kidding.
Right on.
Take whatever you need.
No, I'm good. We've had a busy week. So Thursday, February 24th, before that, I was called to attend a meeting at the Capitol with the Winkleman NRCD, the state NRCD, the local cattle growers, and DIFM, the Speaker of the House, and David Cook. And what this had to do with is the fact that the $10 million that was allocated out of that state money to the permittees to help replace and fix the infrastructure that was burned up in the Mescal fire, Telegraph fire, and now the bushfire and some other ones around that's been added on. Anyway, that 10 million is running out of money. And so, but besides that was the issue that DIFM and the state NRCD were kind of crossways on processing some applications in a timely manner. And so we were able to sit down around the table and work all that out. And we have 8 applications going in, should be in pretty much now, and we have 20 more right behind them. Each application is coming out right at $500,000 each. And so that exceeds the 10 million that was allocated out of that 100 for these folks. So the speaker was interested in taking a look at that and seeing what maybe they could do to get some more people covered. It was discussed, how are you going to prioritize people? Basically, it's first come, first serve. That's about the only way you can do it. And unless the state comes up with more money, possibly the feds, we're going to run out of money. And so that's just where it's headed, and I don't know any other cure for that. So, we had a big discussion on all that and worked all that out to the point where they're going to try and look for some additional dollars for the applicants now. Plus, they're working on some funding that will carry into like this coming summer and future for some of these issues. One of the concerns that is coming out now, and I was sure it would, as a matter of fact, I was amazed it didn't begin with, was basically the state spending $100 million on federal lands. Most of it's federal lands. And that is a concern that I'm hearing. I will say that thankfully the feds on their side, they're starting to come up with more money to hopefully ease that a little bit. So that was the extent of that meeting. It was a very good meeting, very productive and interesting. So, and then on Saturday, the 26th, as Supervisor Christensen stated, we attended that meeting in Star Valley at the Moose Lodge, and thank you for being there. People really do like to see all of us around there, and it was a really good turnout. And there was folks from the Valley, from the VFW, from Phoenix, and then Supervisor Humphrey, your Tunnel Basin folks were there, and then the folks there around Payson. So I don't know, 40, 50 people, somewhere like that. It was a good turnout, good discussion, met some really nice folks, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of them. And then one thing that's going to go on here is the Chamber of Commerce is planning their second Poppy Fest. And during the Poppy Fest, they're holding a Poppy School with the intent of making seed balls for reseeding projects. I've donated $300 on this project for them to help buy the seeds that folks can make these little balls of seeds and throw them out as they go down the road. So at least it'll be good to see that. And other than that, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice to hear some feds are coming up with some money, because I thought a lot of that money was allocated, but it was for perimeter fences between the state and the reservation boundaries.
So the feds did, Mr. Chair, come out with $2.3 million that was only for boundary fences.
Yeah.
But they were short a ton of money in that as well.
There's a lot of boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good, yeah. I was on KQSS radio on February 15th. Attended a Walt Blackman Town Hall in Tunnel Basin. Held a Isela community meeting. We'll hold a Tunnel Basin community meeting tonight at 5 o'clock. Attended a Republican Club meeting, and I will be on Kiko Radio on the 3rd at 9:30. And so I like staying in touch with the community and the people and what's going on in each community, because it's amazing the different things that happen from one community to the next. So it's nice to try to stay in touch with everybody and see how we're doing in their opinion. And so that's all I have, and if it didn't stir anything up for anyone else, I will go ahead.
Just so everybody knows and everybody's listening, but Bobby Davis will be sworn in tonight in Star Valley as the new Star Valley mayor. So I will be there for that swearing in.
Excellent. Yeah, good for him.
And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Bobby's a really good guy.
Yeah,
And
he
so
is.
they made out well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. And so if that's all, I thank everybody. Thank you for being on YouTube today, and I will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.